The Ashpalt Angel.
The Ashpalt Angel, yeah.
That's the first time I've heard you mention that.
Yeah. Well,
you were keeping that a secret.
Unknown to you, I've started but haven't.
That was an affair you were having.
Yeah, I've started but haven't. I have a book in mind of my youth when I was a kid, and I call it Growing Up Dartmouth, and I've started writing into that, but I only got a few pages done and other things have got in the way.
So that's the...
So these stories are going to hopefully appear in Growing Up Dartmouth, right?
Growing Up Dartmouth.
Yeah, Growing Up Dartmouth when we were kids.
Which the Ashpalt Angel played a significant role, and you said that you had a bicycle club.
No, we had a bicycle repair club.
Oh, bicycle.
Yeah,
what was that about?
Bill Carroll had a space under the stairway, so we would repair kids' bikes. We would patch the tires and we put a chain on and do stuff like that, right? For some of the kids. And if we thought we could charge them, we would. But most of them, we did it because we could. And Bill knew nothing. Good old Bill Carroll, he knew nothing how to fix anything at that time, but I could fix some of the stuff, so it didn't matter. So I remember that was our little club, right? And Bill Carroll's father was a fighter pilot for the British in the Second World War. And I believe he flew an American P-51 Mustang. I don't know that for a fact. One day I'm going to follow up and look it up, right? But he was a fighter pilot in the Second World War. And they had Mayflower Moving and Storage Company, right? And then they had station wagon. So when we had the Bedford Row, then Bill Carroll became the road manager. And Bill Carroll was delivering the band goods and whatever at that time, right? And Owen Carroll, his brother, he was one of the guitarists. And that's when it morphed from the Ford-to-Go into the Bedford Row. That much I can remember. Bill Carroll's the one whose father had a 64 Ford Galaxy 500 four-door hardtop. And then he had a little brother, Danny, and he would have been 18 years old then, and Danny was 3 or 4 years old. And then Bill would take him out for a drive, and then he would lay rubber all over the place and come back. And then little Danny would be sitting on the floor playing with his Tinky toys, and he'd be going, and Bill would be going, shh, shh, quiet, don't. So when I came back to Nova Scotia after being away for 7 years, then I went over to visit the Carrolls, and then we were sitting down in the living room, and we were trading stories and telling, and then his mother sat down with us, and she just couldn't believe when we talked. And I talked about that and the squealing of the tires, right? And it was Edie Carroll, and she just couldn't believe it. Usually she went to bed at 9 o'clock. She was up to 12 o'clock that night. She just couldn't believe it. And Bill Carroll and I were discussing the good old days, right? And talking about all the band things and what we did, and Bill was opening up and telling me some of the stuff that he did. And his mother was sitting there, if I'd known. Oh, you didn't do that. Oh, thank God I didn't know. If I'd known. And they had some mental illness in their family and whatever. She was always worried about that with their children, right? So this is all part of Growing Up Dartmouth, Ted. Mr. Peugeot, Mr. 403 Peugeot with the Michelin tires, right? From a Ford Galaxy 500 with a 390 into a 4-cylinder radial-tired Peugeot. That was his first car, as I recall.
Wow. Bill
ended up working for Moosehead Breweries, and he was the head of the union, and he was blacklisted from many places, right? And Bill was like 6'2". We called him Friendly the Giant.
Friendly the Giant?
Yeah, because he was a big guy and friendly and easygoing.
Yeah. Friendly the Big Giant.
They lived in Halifax, out near, I forget exactly, but they called the house Stornoway. And that's the residence for the Prime Minister's residence, right?
Yeah.
And I think they played with it and they called it Storm Away. I remember seeing that. And Bill had a business for a while with a backhoe and a dump truck and did some of that for a while, right? Bill was a real man, not like the rest of us. Bill was a man's man. Bill could drink and Bill could rip dirt up and throw it in the back of a truck, and he had tractors, but that's when we all became adults, right? And then we all lost track. Now we don't know where either one, Bill or Owen is. Owen came out to British Columbia and worked at Air West. We called it Air Risk. Well, remember all the planes were crashing, all the float aircraft? There was quite a few going down. Because he'd worked in the airlines before, and as far as we know, they threw him out. So he came out here because he had good credentials, and he stayed with me for about 3 months, and I threw him out. Right? And then he married a girl, and apparently her father or whatever owned BC Air. BC Airlines and Air West, Air Risk, whatever it was called at the time. So that's what came out of the Bedford Row, were those contacts. And we were all neighbors. We played hockey. And in front of the Moffat's house was a 6-foot wall. And the house sat up high, so that was where the goalie could go. We only missed the window like 3 times. We never hit the window. It was awful damn close sometimes. And then Bill was the goalie. And we wanted.
Wow, did you see that? That was close.
No, suddenly the street would be empty.
Yeah.
Right, we hit the frame a couple of times, right? We never went through the glass. And everybody would stop when we were playing hockey, and we try not to abuse that. We go, okay, come. Right? It was on a bit of a hill. Those are the memories of my youth.
Growing up Dartmouth.
Growing up Dartmouth, and we would go out near Dartmouth High School and Dartmouth Junior High School, and next door there was a big empty dirt lot, and then they had a baseball diamond on it. No grass, no nothing. There was no money for grass, and we go and play baseball there. Then we get tired, we get mad, and then we start throwing rocks at each other in a big rock fight, and we'd all be ducking and whatever, right? And we're finished with that. We go up Brentwood Golf Course, and then we played football. And we'd wrestle and get soaking wet and try to kill each other, but we weren't big enough or strong enough to do it yet. And Bill always wanted to win, and we'd get about 3 of us on top of Bill and shut him up.
He was that big.
Yeah, oh, you're a big guy. But wiry and tough, not a fat guy. Right?
Wow.
He was a big guy, tall guy. He carried himself well. And Bill was a good guy, right? He's the guy who took my car models and took him to school, and won prizes with my car models.
Yeah.
Because Bill couldn't car model for shit. And I had a beautiful 49 Mercury done up in gold metal flake, not metal flake, metallic.
Mm-hmm.
Flat metallic. It was one of my proudest metal models. So he took that and he got first prize or something with it, right? He was really proud. Then he had some bling to go with it, and I felt good. Wow, it's good enough to get that, okay.
Those are...
And Bill would come over for the practices. And
were you painting those with by hand? With
all by hand, Humbrol paints, yeah, all by hand.
And how did you level it so you couldn't see the brush marks?
Those paints had lead in it, so they worked out great. So they had beautiful flow.
So you couldn't see
only Humbrol. Well, if you had the right brush and it was super thin and fine, right, and you sanded it properly, yeah, you could. They were pretty good, and from. Right, they could be a 3-foot model from 3 feet away.
Because I could spot a hand-painted model 10 feet away.
Yeah, well, that's...
Every kid back then could.
Everybody who spray bombed them loaded them up. And mine weren't loaded up. You could still see all the little door handles, and the Humbrol would just float.
Yeah, that was one of the problems with the spray bomb, yeah. That's right.
And I never spray bomb. You didn't need that. My thing was the Humbrol. And if you did it right, and it wasn't too humid, and
wow, you were a pro.
Yeah, and you had a box to put them in later, so they wouldn't get dust all over them.
And so that's why he won first prize.
Yeah, so they were slow to dry, but that was why. And then you put them in a box and hid them from the dust. And
when did you start doing models?
Probably about the time I was born.
Just that.
10 years old, 12 years old.
They didn't have models in Lethbridge, Larry.
Yeah. You don't know that balsa. You don't know that for a fact. Yeah. Car models are a big part. Hours and hours doing car models.
Larry, we're moving to Halifax so you can do models.
Yeah, so you can buy models. Yeah. Birthday gifts. I had a list of the models I wanted, and the people, my dad's friends and whatever, they'd always give me models.
How did you have them? Did you have any hanging from
everywhere? No hanging. You don't hang car models.
No planes.
On the shelves. You saw Larry's lair.
I had some hanging planes and stuff.
No, mine are all on the walls.
Put them on threads with thumbtacks.
You saw the Jag in the background, right? There was walls of that.
Laying at bed at night, looking up at that.
Yeah.
Whatever model airplane that you had.
I had no model airplane. No, they're all cars. Every one of them.
Oh, you didn't do any airplanes?
No, who needs that?
I did.
You might never fly an airplane, but you might drive a car one day. Daryl did models, yeah. We had dinky toys, and we'd scrape all the paint off and customize all the dinky toys, and we had 2 of everything because my brother got a pair of them. So we had one good one, and we'd make one into a customized car, file all off the door handles and everything, and we just decked them, right? No names.
Wow. These Bedford or Not Bedford. What were the Matchbox?
And Dinky Toys, Corgi.
Corgi.
164th. Yep, I got about 100 of them, you know that. Lots of them at home. We'd melt them in the furnace when the furnace was cooking, and we wanted one we didn't like, and the roof got broken. I'd put in there, melt the fenders, and then it was a demolition derby car, right? And then I would make up tin cans. We'd cut the little tin cans up, make bench seats out of it, and solder them in the middle, because none of them came with interiors in that day.
Yeah.
Right, when you took the roof off, that was it. It was naked inside, so we do that and make us some steering wheel thing, and then demolition derby car, right? The cars had endless lives to it. Then we bought tires, go to Myers Sports Shop and order 100 tires. They had all kinds of little dinky tires. Big fleet, you get solid whites for white walls. And
yeah, you mentioned where you used to get one of the neighbors.
yeah, the Zatzmans who lived across the street. That was Myers Sports Shop. And there's the Jewish man, and his younger brother Joe became mayor of Dartmouth. But we would always go to Myers Sports Shop and we'd order all of our dinky toys. If they didn't have what we wanted, they'd always bring them in. He had a big display in the window, right? I think that was eventually bought out by Meccano. Meccano bought out the Dinky Toy Company. And we had the Euclid trucks, and they came with really crummy tires, but you could order the beautiful set, the tires with big V's on them. So as soon as it snowed, you put those on. Then you went out in the snow, and then you would drive it, and it would leave those imprints in the snow. There was nothing better, right?
Yeah, and if you found the right kind of dirt, you could leave imprints.
Yeah, but the imprints, that's what you live for. Right?
Yeah.
And the white walls. We would peel all the white walls off, and we'd go and get the Comet bleach, right?
My cousin had in the garage, I told you about that, they had